This is Scott Becker with the Becker Business Podcast. We're thrilled to be with you for 2025. Here are 9 of the stories that we're following to start the year, to start the week, and thank you so much for listening. First, Rivian on Thursday, Friday beat very low expectations, and its stock surged almost 25%. A heck of a day for Rivian. At the end of the day, they're selling about 51,000 cars a year to 60,000 cars a year. You can't really make a car company over that many units sold. So they better do better than that. But at least good news in the near term as they start to get the production in order and their deliveries in order. So that's one. Second, Boeing performed absolutely last out of the Dow 30 last year. The good news for Boeing is they seem to have flattened out over the last part of the year. They were flat sort of towards the end of the year, but down 31% in total year to date. Third, Nike finished second to last in the Dow in 2024. It was down 30%. Fourth, and this is a subject of a separate podcast, so I won't delve into it deeply here. There's all this business advice about surrounding yourself with 5 of the best this, 5 of the best that, 5 people, and that you're going to become more like those people. So you want to surround yourself with great people. And I think a lot of this advice is just BS. We have a separate podcast on that, so listen to that. But pick your 5 closest, not based on their success, but based on who fills your bucket and vice versa, who you get along with well and who works for you and vice versa. Fifth, and this is one of the great goals always, is to constantly reframe most things that you do from I have to do this to I get to do this. We talk about this regularly. I think it's so important. This has to be a constant effort. And it relates to almost anything in life that you might find yourself at the moment not dying to do. So I get to write this newsletter. I get to do this podcast. I get to talk to these colleagues. I get to have dinner with these people. Not I have to. Whatever it is, the more you can reframe it to a positive, the better off you are. Sixth, the Wall Street Journal reports that unemployed office workers are having a much harder time finding jobs than they used to be. The pain is largely in high-paying white-collar jobs, law, tech, media, where businesses really exploded during the economic growth, but are struggling now. So that I thought was fascinating to see that headline from the Wall Street Journal. Seventh, another article in the Wall Street Journal, Intel's problems are even worse than you've heard. That's not a great surprise, but fascinating nevertheless. Eighth, futures are pointing up this morning, and the market's pointing up this morning after a terrific rally Friday, looking at another really good day in the markets. Finally, ninth, the 2 biggest holdings in the Berkshire Hathaway portfolio are Apple and American Express. Now, if one had religiously followed Warren Buffett's holdings, Berkshire's holdings, they would have done extremely well. And I think it's fascinating to watch. It always makes me think, do we have enough money in some of these stocks? And I'm heavily a core and explore investor, heavily in index funds, heavily in treasuries. But once in a while, I think I should be further into some of these different names. We'll talk about that also on a separate podcast. Just as a PS, had an absolute record year of downloads on the Becker Private Equity and Business Podcast, looking to double and triple down this year on the Becker Business Minute Podcast. We'll see how it goes. Thank you for listening to this episode as we start to kick off 2025 of the Becker Business Minute Podcast. Thank you for listening very much.